And we've got trade news.
Let's do it. We can rattle off some of the latest trade rumours. We do this once a week, so there's a few things that we can discuss. First one is in no particular order, but let's start with Jordan Ridley. Have you seen this suggestion that Jordan Ridley, in his exit interview...
He just walked in and asked for a trade.
I don't know if it was as simple as that.
No, it wasn't.
I'd imagine there were a few pleasantries exchanged, teas, coffees. I think that, what was reported is that he raised the prospect of a trade. This was originally reported by Tom Morris. There has been some suggestion that isn't exactly how it happened, and I can sort of understand how it happened. I think he just I think there's a quote here that the phrasing by Ridley was more subtle and nuanced. So I do wonder what that could have looked like. Would he have said like, "Yeah, I can possibly see myself somewhere else"? I mean, with injury management,
can we just like role play this for a second?
All right, yeah.
So you're Jordan Ridley,
and you're Matthew Rosa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good one. Hi, Jordan.
Hi, Matthew.
We're a bit disappointed about your injuries and stuff like that, but we really love you at the club. You're a loyal player. You've won a best and fairest here. Do you still see yourself at Essendon?
Oh God, I'm actually going to perform here.
Yeah, I didn't know what to say actually once we got started.
I do think I see myself at Essendon. Perhaps at times on a lonely, wistful night, I've fantasized what it might be like to be with another club like the Brisbane Lions, who have a better record of injury management and a recent premiership. But, those are just fantasies, sweetheart.
What does that mean?
It reminds me of that movie Eyes Wide Shut. Anyway, Nicole Kidman's character was creepy in that.
So what do you think Ridley said?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of here, and I'm absolutely butchering. I think that he may... I hate that this is going to be the first rumor that people click on. I think that he could have just, raised some broad concerns about the injury management. Obviously, that's been an issue with Essendon this year, and he's had his injury battles. Could he have used Brisbane as an example of, I wish I played for a club that, managed their players' injuries. That's something that's known about Brisbane.
Yes.
I don't exactly know how he phrased it.
Okay, so you think he went in more with around his body because he has had so many injuries in his career, and he sort of went in and said, clearly history shows that we haven't got this right.
Mm.
And I know Brisbane have, and I've talked to some people up there, would it be plausible if we got something in return for the club? Would it be plausible that I got out of here and went up to Brisbane? It would give me a chance to reinvent my career, which is maybe has again, body-wise, it has got a lot to do with his body, but it stagnated a little bit for him.
Yeah, totally.
From where he was.
Such an important player. At his best, he's a really important player for Essendon. And I wonder if this is at all connected to the Zac Bailey thing. That has also come out. So just to be clear on that, to tie that Ridley one, I think reports came out to suggest he did not request a trade. So we're just trying to ascertain what was said, because I doubt nothing was said. But Essendon, since then, there's been a story that's broken. They're chasing Zac Bailey as a pre-agent, which means that he's out of contract next year, able to be signed as a free agent. But if it happens this year, a trade needs to be facilitated. So is this Essendon trying to look at, say, okay, Brisbane's taken Draper, and they're also going for
Ridley.
Ridley, thank you. And then, Essendon's got some interest in Starcevich. So they're also saying, all right, let's ruffle some feathers here and try and get Zac Bailey. Brisbane are obviously paying some handsome contracts to players who want to join their club.
Yep.
And it's absolutely viable to try and shake the branches a little bit, see what comes out. And Zac Bailey would be a great addition for them.
So how would that work with Essendon taking him? So if they take him this year, they would have to give up trade capital.
Yeah.
If they took him next year, he'd be a free agent.
Correct. Yes.
So Brisbane would be getting a compensation pick.
Yes. So I guess in Brisbane's favour, that what they would get out of that scenario is a better trade outcome than if he leaves through band 1 compensation, because if they're a good team next year, that's pick 20. So if they were open, you really want to know that Bailey's going to leave, I think, before you do this deal. They're also in a premiership window and, probably don't want to weaken their team next year. There's the other part of this. Essendon have picks 5, 6 and potentially 7 if through Sam Draper band 1 compensation.
Yeah. It's likely, I would say.
Yeah.
So they have those 3 picks.
Exactly. So they have some capital here to throw at other clubs, and they could get a Zac Bailey deal done. However, this is the worst draft for, well, not the only one, but a bad draft for Brisbane to be chasing picks 5, 6, and 7 because of Daniel Animal.
Because of Daniel Animal. So they have to trade it into the future.
This is what makes it a bit iffy.
Which is still fine, but yeah, like you said, obviously for Brisbane, where they're at, and they're ready to go with flags, and they've been drip-fed academy and father-sons over the last few years anyway, so it's not like they haven't got talent. It's not like they're a team that's been devoid of talent, and now they're going to have to try to go to the draft. So there's not much in that for them, I would say. I think in that sense, and would Zac Bailey really want to go so much this year that he'd be pushing for that? On the flip side as well, I think for Essendon, it makes so much more sense for them to go for a free agent where they're not actually paying trade capital because they need to get into the draft themselves, given where they're at. And do you think Zac Bailey comes into that Essendon side? Well, of course he improves it. He's better than anything they've got in the forward half of the ground. Would that be worth giving up 2 picks for right now, given that they're not even going to be... I mean, Zac Bailey's not going to move the needle instantly for them. He's going to be he's a nice... I feel like Zac Bailey is a luxury player, a player that when you're pushing for premierships, you need, but not when you're in the bottom 4. Yeah,
all good points. I also don't think it's at all likely Zac Bailey is really going to be tempted by this offer. I suppose we're talking $1.3 million over 6 years. Obviously, that's per year. So presumably he can get more at Essendon, but I think it's a brave move for a player to move out of a team that is the reigning premiers right now to move to Essendon.
And he was just all Australian. His career is really... He's 25.
Yeah.
His career is just starting to take off.
Yeah.
Although, it would make financial sense for Bailey, but I don't know if it makes much sense for anyone in this deal. Maybe it makes sense for Bailey in a year's time. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's right. It could be a different ball game. If we see Brisbane capitulate, which is pretty unlikely, but...
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. I don't know if there's too much to this. So in summary, I really don't think Bailey gets to Essendon. Ridley's contracted, I should have said, to 2029, which means that Essendon have no real reason to give him up either. This is probably just a situation similar to Petrarca last year where it's like, let's try and resolve this.
I still think, though, with this one for the Bombers, as much as I actually rate Ridley, I think it could be, if they were able to get offered something reasonable for him, I actually think it works for them.
Yeah, possibly.
What's he, 26, 27 would he be now?
I actually struggled to remember when he was drafted.
2016.
Yeah, it was 2016. That would make him 27 this year.
Yeah, 27. Yeah. So, good age from a Brisbane perspective. Obviously, Essendon need players in that age group as well, but I think it's not realistic that Essendon are going to be winning a premiership or pushing for the top 4 in the next 3 years, let's say. And then by that stage, Ridley's probably going to be coming out of his prime anyway, and he's a bit injury prone. So it's almost, in some ways for me, I think it's better for somebody else to take that risk for Essendon and for them to get some more picks if possible, even if that's into 2026.
Yes. Brisbane's probably not the club to do that with, though, you'd think. You need to get the third team involved, maybe. I mean, if you're Essendon,
because they're not going to have picks.
They're not going to have picks. Pick 17, I think, is what
they're
currently
worth.
I'd really need to look at how much footy he's missed for a start.
Yeah.
I think top 15 pick. But he's heavily contracted, so Essendon can charge any price to say, this is what he's worth to us right now. I don't know if there's enough in it for any party here, to be honest.
I'm interested to see what people say they think Ridley's worth, because I actually think his value is difficult to ascertain. Off the top of my head, at his prime, if he was 23 and he just come off that best and fairest, I think he's a really top pick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he was the third least experienced Essendon player ever to win the best and fairest. He had only played 26 games or something like that. That's crazy.
Such a multifaceted defender. He can do everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just hasn't been able to get the body right, which has been, as you said, off the top, it's been a problem for all of their players. So maybe that's the reason that he wants to get out.
Let's move on to a bit of a West Coast flavour. I know you love this, but I want to get a little bit off my chest here. So we've got Liam Ryan today he's expected to request a trade to St Kilda. It caught my eye that during the week, after having said that, I don't think West Coast has any reason to do this deal, and then publicly they put up a strong front saying we're not going to let Liam Ryan go, paraphrasing. I noticed that he did a medical with St Kilda, and given he's a contracted player, I'm guessing West Coast had to give permission for that. So that to me just screams West Coast know he's going to go.
Yeah.
So then, and it's also expected, the update today is that post-medical, he's expected to request a trade to St Kilda. This comes in light of Carlton also chasing Campbell Chesser, a player that I've really grown to like over the last half a season.
You finally got to like him, and now he's going.
He's played 36 games with us, missed a whole year and a half through injury, and kind of struggled to make his mark, playing in one of the worst teams of all time as an outside mid.
Yeah.
Put together a really strong last month of the season, and it sounds like, well, Carlton, Essendon and Richmond were all linked. Carlton is now currently the most likely landing spot for him. They're chasing leg speed and skill. I would describe Chesser as incredibly fast and boom or bust.
Unskillful.
Boom or bust, I would describe him as. I would say they're about on par with Hewitt.
Skill-wise.
Capable of hitting an amazing pass, but decision-making radar can be off.
I need to watch a little bit more of Chesser. I would have thought he was well below Elijah Hewitt.
Purely foot skills I'm talking about.
Purely foot skills.
Yeah. Not broader skills.
There's like a range of movement that Hewitt has over someone like a Campbell Chesser. Like I feel like Chesser's one of those real straight line guys.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I think he's proven himself to be a really good athlete in recent times. He's very quick. Yeah, I think deceptively athletic.
When I think he's quick. Does he move laterally as well as Elijah Hewitt, you think?
Specifically in terms of agility, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I maybe need to see more there as well, but
yeah. I mean, we're getting a little bit bogged down into tangent here. The point that I wanted to make was,
is he good for Carlton?
This has made me really flat.
Has it?
Yes, it has. I think broadly this off-season for West Coast, I know Harley Reid re-signed. Perhaps it's because I expect him to re-sign. It hasn't put this positive lens over the whole off-season, but Liam Ryan's just probably going to walk to St Kilda and we'll get something probably not that meaningful for him. We're going to get nothing for Campbell Chesser, who's just taken 4 years to come good, and then he leaves. I
just need to cut you off there. He has not come good.
Yeah.
He has not come good.
That's a phrase.
No, but he hasn't come good.
But sorry. I thought you were teasing my phrasing there.
No.
Yeah.
I'm saying, you can't say he's come good yet.
No, I just meant, you know what I meant. Like four games where you're like, oh, I can see what you do now. Oh, goodbye.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I'm not saying he's become an established gun.
I think if you moved it on Chesser, there's a good chance you could get something as good as him in the draft. Yes, you lose that development, that maturation.
But we're talking about pick 50 in a trade, I reckon.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
It's that bad?
I think if a player's uncontracted and missed so much football through injury, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think talent outweighs the value. It's also true of Liam Ryan. So we're in a shitty position with both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just flat with that. And for context, without blowing Chesser's quality out of proportion, I think in terms of talented midfielders at West Coast, Harley and Elijah clearly ahead.
Yep.
I think Chesser's third. So I don't think it's I think he's clearly better than Clay Hall, for instance, who's probably the next best young midfielder. And I'm also avoiding Hoff because I think he's moved to backline now. I think Chesser's better.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, getting a little too bogged down in the details of that, other than to say I think this has some stank on it. West Coast is chasing Elijah Hollands. I heard a rumour they're going after Orazio Fantasia. If we turn Liam Ryan and Campbell Chesser into Hollands and Fantasia a year after taking Owies, there will be some videos. Yeah, you heard it here first.
That is stinky.
Look, in 2013, I'll never forget West Coast were apparently all over Andreas Everett and Josh Bootsma, and thankfully that never happened. But further to this, Matt Innes, our head of high performance, left after 2 years recently. He's just gone to Essendon. So I'm starting to get a little bit melty. And I've been pretty resilient. I've been pretty resilient for 4 years.
He's been good over this time.
Yeah. We've definitely seen some improvement after an injury crisis, and I don't know. I'm just hoping for some good news.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I can understand your frustration because you essentially with Carlton last year, you sort of turned. What was it in the end? You basically swapped.
It was 3 for 12, 14 and Owies.
Yeah, so you guys got Allen.
Yeah, Allen, Baker and Owies.
Baker. for Jagger Smith,
/ Harvey Langford, whoever we would have taken, which we can't ever know for sure.
No.
That one was a bad trade.
Yeah.
And this is taking on a stinky tone as well. On more positive news, Brandon Starcevich, well, it's not that more positive because he's undecided about where he's going to go. The update here is just simply that it will be between West Coast and Brisbane. Essendon North not in the mix anymore.
Yep.
And I think that an exemption is unlikely. I actually didn't consider, when we talked about it last week, that an exemption for West Coast having to trade with Brisbane here just screws Brisbane over.
Yeah.
We didn't mention that at all. So I just can't see the AFL going for that.
Yep.
Maybe it'll put pressure on. Maybe we get given a pick we can trade for Starcevich, but you're trending into.
Do you think that removes you from him, the chase of Starcevich?
I actually don't think it does. I think West Coast will still try and get him. I think they're that desperate for on-field quality right now.
You still do have the option to be able to trade outside the.
Yes, that's what I mean. West Coast wouldn't sign him and dilute Bent one commentator. Yep. Yeah.
From a Starcevich, I know he does have the links to WA, but given him becoming to West Coast, we've referenced the fact that he might get more midfield time, which would be a little bit of a carrot for him. But do you think this could also just be him wanting a bit of a better contract?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What else? Whatever the reason we come to West Coast.
Yeah.
We're in the position where that's the only thing. And obviously lifestyle if you want to live in Perth.
You want to live in Perth.
Yeah.
And like I said, the other thing would be that, like, okay, at West Coast he comes in and he's probably a bit of a leader.
Yeah.
Where he's like a bit more of a bits and pieces player at Brisbane.
That's right. Yeah.
So some people are sickos and they want to lead the team.
Nerds.
Yeah.
100%. But I think West Coast is in the position where, without doing anything stupid, get in the quality established players that can improve you now. I think they're that desperate.
Yeah, I like Starcevich.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one.
Yeah. Anyway, I've had my rant about West Coast. We'll just get back to St Kilda briefly here. Silvagni has decided to join St Kilda. This is, I think it's official. He's requested it. He's certainly done a medical there, which is pretty far down the line. We talked, I suppose the only real update here is that he's likely to join the Saints, and the update as well is that Leakalia's move is not affected.
Yeah.
Side note, St Kilda have offered $750,000 a year for Leakalia. I also read today he broke his own personal best of 12 games in one season this year.
Wow.
That is diabolical.
So if you start to add up the contracts that they're handing out with TDK, Naz, albeit that's only for 2 years.
Yep.
So that shouldn't do too much to them long term.
That's right.
Jack Silvagni now. So
Silvagni's $850,000 a year. For context, this has just been what's reported. The Pies and Dogs were offering 4 years by $600,000. That's this enormous gap.
Yeah, it is.
Silvagni's still their list manager, isn't he? Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder if that had anything to do with it. Surely not. Like you surely wouldn't be that brazen.
Is that a conflict of interest?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I suppose he might not know what other clubs are offering, but
yeah, it's an interesting one. I said last week that I think St Kilda have actually, like, for them to have a window like this where they hold on to Nas and they start to pick up some of these free agents, like they're in for Sam Flanders still too. I don't know if that's one that's on your list as well, but
yeah.
If they start landing some of these players, I do think it brings like a bit of a buzz to the team. Like, say Nas had have walked out the door and they hadn't have landed these players, what does that do for someone like a Cal Wilkie who's like, I want to play in a finals team, I want to play in a premiership team? Does he leave as well? So I don't knock them for doing this. Is it going to affect them down the track? Maybe, but I think they have to go for it.
Yeah, within reason. I think there's the potential for this being a big old bag of farts for him.
Okay.
Not keeping Nas, obviously that's ideal, but like let's say they go hard for Flanders and McKenzie and tie up all their assets and salary into some of these players and you get them all together and you're like, does this really make us that much better?
Yeah.
Considering Nas is already in that team. I think TDK is an important piece and maybe Silvagni in isolation, but Leakalia at $750,000 a year, Cam McKenzie.
That's stinky.
Yeah, we don't know how much of this is like real. And in time we'll judge them on the trade period, but I'm not convinced it's all necessarily sunshine and
so
roses.
Who do you think makes them better?
TDK makes them better. Nas, we won't even include Nas.
Clearly,
Silvagni's probably a key piece. I don't know if Leakalia makes them better. Does Flanders even... Maybe Flanders is... You'd say he's an important piece. Cam McKenzie's jury's out.
all of those. The thing is with their midfield is kind of weak, and it's a difficult one because we can't really judge them until we see. I reckon we see a full season of Mateus Philippou as well.
Yes,
in the midfield.
Yeah,
to see what that sort of balance looks like. But Darcy Wilson needs to come back and play consistent football as well.
Yeah, that's where I think their growth comes from. Some of those younger players.
Yeah.
We didn't even, we could mention more.
Well, this is what I start to look at and I go, okay, they're going after Silvagni. If they genuinely are in for Silvagni and for Lee Kalir and they get them both, that automatically makes me go, well, they're going to play Tyru forward. He's a forward there.
I forgot they had Tyru. They got to give him games too. Do you think he's a forward?
He can play forward.
Yeah, right.
I reckon that swings him into the forward line straight away.
Yeah, okay. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Cal Wilkie because there was some speculation 3 weeks ago that Cal Wilkie was potentially going to leave. I think that there was actually a rumour that he was pissed. He came out and silenced all that. I think the pissed element would be he might be the worst paid key back on or in their best 22 next year.
I reckon this. I honestly think there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
As much as he's coming out, and I don't reckon he wants to leave St Kilda, but I reckon it's pissed him off a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to assume he's paid less than $850K a year because sometimes if there's a lag effect, you get paid really well after you become a star.
Yeah.
But look, the Dogs have moved on him. And they're offering $1 million per year across 4 years. So that's it's a great move by the Dogs, by the way. In terms of players that could improve that team, we talked a lot about that.
Instantly better.
Yeah, and a very important part of the ground.
He's an all-Australian quality defender.
Yes.
St Kilda if St Kilda lost a player like that in pursuit of these guys, it would be such a egg on your face kind of move.
Yes.
If you were Cal Wilkie and the Dogs offered you that money, so you're getting a pay increase of $200K approximately, would you buy into that as well as the money? Would you buy into that project more or less than St Kilda?
I think the history shows the Dogs are a more proven quantity in terms of a club getting to where you want to go. Consistent finals performances over a long period of time. We're a bit further removed from St Kilda being that. And a little bit further down the track, I'm not convinced they shoot into finals. I think the development arc might still be a little bit slower than that.
Yeah,
personally.
I agree.
There's still a lot of youth that need to drive that.
We need to see this trade period.
Yeah.
For starters, but I think they're not as far along as the Dogs.
Having said that, I do see the appeal, so I'm not dismissing what they're building, but I also think the Dogs are there. I mean, they faltered this season, but with the playing group and the established
still
talent,
considerably finished in the top 9, which was probably the biggest gap that a top 9 ever had.
Yeah, I think they're an attractive team to play for.
Yeah,
maybe not over a Geelong, but
no, but
yeah,
they're another level altogether, aren't they? But
it seems unlikely that Wilkie goes, by the way, but it'd be a disaster.
He seems like the kind of guy that just wouldn't he'd have too much loyalty to the club.
Yeah,
that's sort of where I see him.
I'm a big believer that off seasons are a good reflection of what the mentality is of a footy club. And I think we've learned more about where St Kilda think they're at the moment than maybe any other club so far in this trade period. How much pressure do you think it would place on them to perform well next year if they land, let's say, 4 of these guys?
Yeah, I think significant because Ross Lyon is now how many years into his coaching tenure with the Saints the second time around?
They made a final in 2020 and was that his first season there?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was a bit of a sugar hit.
Yeah, so we'll call it 5 years.
And then it's been a drop off. So realistically, I almost feel like that initial final kind of goes out the window because you've dipped off. Yeah. And you've sort of done this little mini, not a rebuild really, but bought some young players. It's
definitely reset. The composition of that team is very different, I'd say.
Yeah.
Naz wasn't on the list.
You couldn't have the season would have to be somewhat at worst case scenario. I think in 2026 it would have to be something like the Dogs did this year, where they're finishing in kind of the close to finals. They're playing if they just missed and they really improved, but I think they'd need that consistency because they seem to float through seasons where they just have periods of games where they lose to a West Coast, where if you want to be that team that pushes for finals, you can't lose those games.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they have a lot of improvement to do on field. I don't think it was a great season on field for them. I think there's a chance it moves him into a bit of a pre-window phase. Certainly not opening the premiership window, but I think I consider Fremantle and the Gold Coast Suns maybe even Hawthorn, maybe less to extent.
Can I make a call that they'd either need to sell it with wins and losses, so finish inside the top 8, or get significant improvement out of those top line players that are young, like Matthias Philippou, like Darcy Wilson, maybe like Mitch Owens, Travalia, Taru, and even Windhager.
Yeah,
going to that, push up to that next level, so at least you have the hope there that they can go again the year after.
I'll pay that. I think that's a good call. If you can see like market improvement from those guys and who's going to drive that improvement, I'm with you.
That's why I was still relatively on the Dogs, even though the disappointment of missing the finals. Like, I still think the pieces are there.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. We'll rattle off some more trade rumours. 4-team race for Connor Budarick. North Melbourne, the Bulldogs, Brisbane and Essendon. He has a 2-year deal in front of him at the Gold Coast Suns. Played in the final tonight, kicked a couple of goals. Don't know why I said it like that. And I just wonder, what is your interest in Connor Budarick? I think, it was throughout the year or last year. It might have been last year North actually were interested in Budarick. I might have that wrong. But there's a number of teams still keen on him. The Brisbane Lions, interestingly, might be a contingency for Starcevich. What do you think of a Budarick for North Melbourne?
I'm not keen at all.
I don't think he really feels a need for you. I think he actually makes more sense at Brisbane.
So I actually wouldn't mind tracing back. I don't know too much about his draft range, like where he went in the draft. And
I don't even remember him in the draft.
The year that it was, So like he's a bit of an interesting one there. I know that he started out as a half-back flanker for the Gold Coast, like his first sort of games in that team. But that was pre-Noble and Rioli.
Yes.
And then tonight, obviously, you saw he was playing as more of like a small forward, maybe like a defensive type forward at times. He's still a little nuggety thing, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't look particularly high quality to me. Yeah. So I wouldn't have thought you'd be chasing him for any great high picks or anything like that. I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
You'd be wanting to pay too much for him. Could he come in and be like a bit of a role player? We just got Zac Banch. I think like maybe they'd be similar type players. Maybe Budarick's a little bit more powerful. Yeah. Gives you something a bit different, but wouldn't be jumping through hoops for him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that fair? What about those other, who were the other teams you mentioned there?
The Brisbane Lions, as I said, contingency for Starcevich perhaps. The Western Bulldogs, I presume, as a defender.
Could be.
Because he probably has played his best footy as a defender and he's not like a goal-kicking forward.
No.
Maybe like a pressure forward is his niche. And Essendon was the other one.
Essendon. So I don't think Essendon would be keen. Like, I don't think he would get into that team in the long term either, with like the fact that they've got like Swade coming through.
Yeah, true.
Alashkar, and as a forward anyway. Yeah. Again, like maybe off the halfback, but they've got Newen and Johnson.
Roberts,
and they're probably in line maybe to go for someone like a Lindsay.
Yeah, true.
In the upcoming draft. So like, I don't know if they'd need him as like a distributing type defender either. As a forward, like when you're talking Brisbane, like Rayner, Lohman, Bailey.
I think he'd be a backline player though.
He'd be a backliner there, taking in that Starcevich role. You said,
I think so.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that makes the most sense.
Even in the backline though, right? Like Wilmot, Kitty Coleman.
It would just be Starcevich, you'd hope. But that would be the vision, I think.
Yeah.
But I agree. Other than that, couple of players in limbo. Adam Treloar, does he find another club?
That's a good question.
Is there a single club in the AFL that is suited to Adam Treloar right now? Because he's still a pretty good player, but he's my age. He's 32.
Yeah.
So, I like my first my mind always goes to who's the weakest team in the comp that needs reinforcement. It's my club. Why
we'll have him.
I mean, obviously we'd take him, but I just don't see Treloar moving west. So
no,
I don't think there's been any meaningful links. But if you're looking at Melbourne teams, it'd be really ironic if he got back to Richmond. Not back to Richmond, but remember he famously snubbed them.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he said that Collingwood had the better list.
That's right. And then they won the premierships.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. That was when he first came over from GWS.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, wow.
The Pies are still paying him $300,000 a year as of this year.
Are they seriously?
Yeah, that was reported.
Wow.
Which is crazy. So,
what do you think Collingwood, this is as weird as that sounds, do you think they're a team that could actually like potentially use him?
It did cross my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think the blood would be too bad for that kind of?
Maybe. Like, who knows?
It's been years, but
just pure. If you take that out of it and you purely go, okay, they've got like kind of a weird midfield Collingwood. Like they've got these like, generational Nick Dacos, big game, powerful player, Jordan De Goey, and then they've sort of got bits and pieces like older guys like Sidebottom and Pendles and Ned Long's come in. He would give them like a little bit more pace in there, and they've thrown Josh Dacos through the midfield a little bit at times. I feel like he could maybe play what Josh Dacos does in the midfield.
Yeah.
And then Dacos gets to just stay at home across half back. And he could, like, I feel like Treloar could be one of those guys that had a bit of a late career shift, like a Zorko or someone, and went to half back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
He's kind of modular.
He has done that, hasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Jesse Motlop? Have you seen much of Jesse Motlop? Because I really liked him in his draft year, and there has been no trade link and no contracts offer. Actually, I can't verify if he hasn't been offered a contract, but he has not signed one at Carlton. Do you have an opinion on Jesse Motlop? It's a bit more of a niche one.
Yeah. So of all of the players that aren't already established, like obviously Adam Treloar, we sort of know what he is, but I think there is a player in Jesse Motlop.
I thought so too. And I'm a bit surprised at what I'm reading of fans saying, no, let's not do it.
I think fans see him as a player that maybe has a bit of a weaker mentality.
Right.
And when the games get difficult and the moments get difficult, I think they kind of see him as somebody that can maybe, double take the ball and miss opportunities and stuff like that. But he's like absolutely like at times when, he spins out of traffic, wins a big ground ball inside forward 50, you kind of go like, wow, just some of the stuff that he can do, like the snappy movement that he has and stuff like that's pretty impressive.
I think he's one to watch in this
I think
Chester situation, to be honest.
In the Chester situation?
Yeah, if Carlton
back
trade.
to West Coast.
Yeah. Whether, I'm not saying like straight swap, but if he's out of contract this late, there's something going on.
He would be the exact player that we always talk about goes to a really strong club and just thrives.
Yes.
I feel like there is
Luckily, he's coming to West Coast.
Yeah. So West Coast, not ideal.
No.
I even feel like with the style that Carlton play and, the other types of players that are around him, like if he went to a Geelong, I reckon he would thrive. I know that's a cliche thing to say at this point.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's so true though.
Struggling player goes to Geelong.
I mean, just look at Jack Martin.
Exactly.
Yeah. The same environment.
He just he needs a role.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these guys play in these like teams like Carlton where it's very based around like, Curnow and Mackay in the forward half of the ground. And there's not like just this really clear thing that they have to do. And maybe that's partly the education that they get at that club. But just give him something really simple to do. And I think he'd do it really well.
Yeah. No, I agree. We'll rattle off a few more before we finish up. Just some updates. Flanders being chased by Melbourne, Carlton and St Kilda. We knew about St Kilda. The D's, that's an interesting one. I guess it's probably just to bridge a bit of a gap with an ageing midfield. It kind of makes sense.
Do you think that's a bit of a weird one when, again, like players that struggled to get midfield minutes this season, like Trent Rivers, who's probably in that similar age group to Flanders, he didn't get in there.
Yeah.
So why would they go after Flanders? Unless they honestly don't rate Trent Rivers as a mid, maybe they don't.
Or they're anticipating Petrarca getting to Hawthorn, which is not a serious rumour that's been reported on, but there has been some speculation.
Yeah.
Is there something bubbling on way under there?
You might be right.
Because you'd want to replace Petrarca with someone.
Yeah. What do you think Melbourne would? Do you think Melbourne would be better off with a ready-made player like Flanders, who I think is a bankable, maybe not really, really high-end mid? Or do you think they'd be better off trying to get to the draft?
Well, in this scenario, they have no first rounder. But let's say Petrarca goes, they have Hawthorn's pick 10, I think it currently is. That would probably just get absorbed in a Flanders deal because he's contracted. So
yeah.
But generally speaking, I understand what you're asking me.
Like let's put an actual player to it. There's someone that you know in the draft. Like I don't know who would be better for them. They've got Langford. They've got Lindsay.
Yeah, it depends what pick we're talking about because they don't have one at the moment.
Yeah, I'll just put a player to it. Like say Sam Grill versus Sam Flanders. I know that's really hard.
Probably Flanders. Just because he's safer. Sam Grill could be much better, or he could not play an AFL game. Like there's still always that doubt.
Yeah,
Flanders is a good player.
He is.
But if you reframe it to say a pick in the top 8, then it does sound a little bit juicier, doesn't it? Like a top 8 pick or Sam Flanders for the D's right now.
What about Sam Cumming?
He probably that's my personal preference. I kind of like Sam Cumming more.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I suppose that's really subjective. I guess what we're talking about is a ready-made player in his prime versus a top 10 pick. So philosophically, like, what should they do? They probably have enough senior bodies. You'd probably hit the draft.
I think so.
Yeah, but I think there's still this a little bit of indecisiveness with Melbourne, or maybe that's just the way it seems, like which way they're going. Like Goodwin says this group can win a flag, or said it, rather. But they've also been hitting the draft aggressively.
They have. I still don't think they know.
Yeah.
I don't actually think they know where the list is.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's their desperation in sacking Goodwin was a bit of a like, fuck, well, let's not wait around to find out.
Yeah.
Let's just bring someone else in and see if the coach was the problem.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It takes the pressure off a little bit as well once there's a bit of a release valve there.
Absolutely.
North Dogs and West Coast chasing Tyler Young. Any opinion? I remember he played really well against West Coast when we live showed. Yeah, we live showed that.
This would be a great one for us.
Yeah.
So what's his contract situation? Just
out of contract.
Out of contract.
Yeah, but not free agent. So
we'd have to be traded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like of course it always comes down to like a question of value and what we'd have to pay for him. But when you're like absolute position of need, I think I haven't seen him consistently, Tyler Young. So like I don't know what he could get to as a key position defender, but he looks more than competent from what I've seen. Did a knee last year, was it?
Yeah.
He's come back from that.
Yeah, one of those many players that did knees, I think. Yeah, was that Tyler Young?
He was in the kind of the epidemic.
Yes.
Of knee injuries for them.
It was contagious.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was. It was like a virus.
Yeah, it was.
No, I like this one. I like this for North. I think this would be a great pickup. Pair him there with, start to phase out some of these guys like Griffin Logue. Not to be too hard on him, but
yeah, it makes sense for West Coast too. And the Dogs were the other one. We've already talked about their key back needs. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.